I've got three my usual three topics that I want to touch on today, and at least the first two for sure directly related to my priorities for these last 6 months of my tenure as president here. The one starting is a fundraising priority, and that's Dance Marathon. I have to say a few more words about Dance Marathon just because it really is such a significant organization on our campus. I believe it's our largest student run organization. Over 300 students participate in the running and the administration of Dance Marathon, which is pretty phenomenal when you think about it. And for me, realizing that this started back in 1995, first year they ran Dance Marathon, they raised $30,000. In 2008, when I arrived, that was my first year with Dance Marathon, was the first year they broke $1 million. Phenomenal. But more phenomenally, 7 years later, really, they broke the $2 million record this year. And watching these students each year become more and more motivated. And I was never sure that you could motivate students beyond when they reach that $1 million mark, but watching them every year exceed the goal. And this year, again, by $300,000 over what they raised last year. Every year I ask them, and people ask me, are they going to be able to do it again next year? And since we're growing, that is something else that I'm going to touch on next is enrollment. But since we're growing, I think they will be able to because they'll continue to recruit more and more students into Dance Marathon. I think their biggest challenge in the future is going to be where to hold the venue because the ballroom, the main ballroom in the student union looks awfully crowded to me. So in the future, I think it's going to be a question of where can they gather these thousands of students who themselves are anxious and ready to participate in Dance Marathon. The commitment that each student makes to raise at least $400 to support the goals of Dance Marathon is a phenomenal commitment to start with. And I get emails from a lot of these students, oftentimes asking for donations and explaining how little experience they have in fundraising, which for some, this is their first experience fundraising. And it can be a real eye-opener in terms of how challenging it can be. If you're not used to asking people to contribute to a good cause, it's not something that necessarily you do every day or that comes easy. So that's my last 2 cents on Dance Marathon as president of the University of Iowa. But I continue to look at that group and think that is really what University of Iowa students are all about. And I'm very proud of them. Now, touching again on another goal that I have, and that was increasing enrollment, let me say just a few things about what I'm seeing on the enrollment side for next fall. I think whoever is sitting in this chair come next fall is going to sound very much like I have the last 8 years. We will be welcoming the largest, the most diverse, and the most talented freshman class we've ever seen. And I feel confident in saying that just looking at the increases in everything from applications to admissions to admits, and to those who have already paid housing fees, to those who clearly are indicating that they're looking forward to becoming a Hawkeye next year. So it's very exciting for me. This is true it's especially true for the resident students. I'm really gratified to see the numbers on the Iowa resident students who have applied, been accepted, and who we feel pretty confident are coming next fall. And I'm especially pleased that we're also seeing strong interest in both the non-resident domestic students as well as the international students, that those numbers are going to be up as well. A lot of interest in that new residence hall. You probably won't be surprised that students are hopeful that maybe they could be in the new residence hall. I think I might be if I were a student too. That would be a great thing, obviously, to be able to say you were the first person or some of the first people in the new Mary Louise Peterson residence hall. And I'm very much looking forward to the opening. I think I'll be here when we cut the ribbon on opening that residence hall, since it's the first one that we've built in 45 years. We're doing a lot more, obviously, on the recruitment side. I'm very pleased at the way all of the efforts on the recruitment side have gone. Everything from more contacts on a regular basis, either electronically or usually by forms of media that I'm less familiar with than younger people are familiar with. But those efforts seem to be paying off and working very well. I'm very pleased by the energy that Brent Gage brings to his role as I'll call our enrollment guru. He is bringing new energy, new ideas, new thoughts, and I think that bodes well for the future as we will continue to grow for the next several years. We're doing it carefully. I think we should easily make the 500 additional student mark that we set for ourselves for next fall. We'll see just how close we get to that, whether we exceed it or hit the target, but I'm fairly confident that that target's a very realistic one for us. The marketing and communication strategies have been very successful as well. We continue to get strong positive feedback on much of what we've been doing, especially statewide. And we're now going to expand that out a bit to include other states as well, especially states where we know we have a lot of interest from students, like Chicagoland, like Minnesota, places where we tend to draw students from. You know, that the Big Ten footprint, and that Big Ten footprint is larger now, really makes a difference in terms of Big Ten schools being able to recruit outside their state boundaries. And that's certainly been true here for us at Iowa. It's good to be part of while it is an athletic conference, let me say that the Big Ten Conference is more than that, much more than that. The CIC, the Committee on Institutional Cooperation, which really fundamentally is the academic consortium of Big Ten universities and includes the University of Chicago, which was an original Big Ten member. I think the things that they do on the academic side are every bit as important, and in some cases more so, than what we see as an athletic conference, the Big Ten Athletic Conference. And the CIC has always been the envy, I believe, of big universities everywhere in terms of having a consortium and partners that you can interact with on a regular basis. We're very blessed in the Big Ten Conference to have 14 fabulous schools. So that's a little digression from enrollment, but it does play into the whole issue of enrollment too. So pleased by what I see in the fall. The numbers change every day. I'd give you numbers, but they'd probably by this afternoon they'd change again. But watching the percentages, up in every category, and when you're talking about almost 21,000 applications last year, we're well over 22,000 applications, and that was at this time last year. We're well over 22,000 this time. And again, it all bodes well. I think it all says that we're doing what we need to do to be able to grow. Now, along those lines, I spoke last fall when we were talking about affordability in particular. We were talking about ways in which we can make the experience and the success of our students even better going forward. I was very proud of our four-year graduation rates, and we continue to show progress on that front. Those four-year graduation rates mean that our students are doing quite well in terms of coming in and completing in a timely fashion. And we know that students who can complete in a timely fashion, you can save quite a bit of money. You know, that extra semester, that extra whatever it might mean in terms of housing, room and board, and tuition, if you can reduce those costs, you can significantly reduce the cost of your college degree. And at that time, I challenged the campus to come up with 3-year degree programs. So I think what you have in front of you is a press release that talks about the Iowa Degree in 3, which is our first foray. Next fall, we'll have, for certain, degree programs that if you're a motivated student, again, let me emphasize, this is not for every student. This is for highly motivated students who have a very good idea of what they would like to accomplish in life and want to achieve that college degree as quickly as possible. The Iowa Degree in 3 program will allow us to help these students track to finish and to complete that degree in 3 years. In the fall, the Iowa Degree in 3 will be offered in 5 different majors.
We added one and I left it off and I apologize.
6 different majors. Janine's going to give me number 6. I have English, History, International Studies, Marketing, Theater, Arts, and
Communication studies.
I thought communications was going to be in there. So terrific. Because these are, and these, many of these are big majors. Many of these are majors that lots of students pursue. So we're pleased, obviously, that we know we can do these degrees in 3 for certain types of students. Again, not for every student. We have lots of students who come here that want to discover what it is they're passionate about. So this may not be for them, but this certainly is going to be for those who have a pretty good idea of what they think life is going to look like beyond college even. So I'm excited about that. I think that this is not meant to replace anything else we do. We do know that some degree programs would be very challenging to complete in 3 years. There are some degree programs, depending on what students choose. So many of our students are double and triple majors. That can be challenging to complete in 4 years, let alone 3 years. So every student will have opportunities to think about these options, and every student will have good advising when it comes to choosing an option that works best for them. You might remember, and I mentioned this in passing, we've always had the 4-year graduation plan, certainly since I've been here. That used to be an opt-in plan. That used to be an option for our freshmen to come in and they could sign up for the 4-year graduation plan. And we would guarantee if they followed the steps that we outlined for them, we would guarantee that they could graduate in 4 years. That's pretty much, it's an opt-out plan now. All of our freshmen are opted into that plan. So it's assumed when you come in here as a freshman that you are part of the 4-year graduation plan and that we will help you chart a course that will allow you to graduate in 4 years. Now, there are things, obviously, life happens, and things can delay that or sometimes put students in a position where it might take a little bit longer, but we work with our students to make sure that the norm is more along the lines of 4-year graduation. So I'm excited that we've got the Iowa Degree in 3 ready to go for the fall, and as promised, and I'm excited about the student body and the composition of that student body come next fall as well. I'll be watching from afar.